to a live match reaction show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie, and I'm your host for this evening. Now, I wasn't able to do a watch along yesterday, and I thought I got away with it after seeing the scoreline. But as a content creator, I guess it's my responsibility to be consistent and give you guys my take. So here I am to discuss what was for me a shit show from the Reds yesterday as we lost 3-2 to Bournemouth. Now, let's talk about it. Firstly, I was surprised by the lineup. It looked like we had a setup of a 4-2-2-2 formation. So after a great result against Marseille, Slot has gone on to change the shape completely. So make that make sense. But in terms of the game, what on earth was Van Dijk doing for the first goal? Lackluster defending, ball watching, and making zero effort to block the cross. In the end, we felt the consequence as Joe Gomez tries to cover his centre back partner and puts his body on the line. But unfortunately, at a cost, as he's now injured. And we all know these owners will not spend any money this month and they will not sign another centre back as there is still uncertainty with regards to Slot's long term future at the club. Then for the second goal, all the players are pushing up for the offside trap, but our captain forgets what he's doing and continues to track back and keep Jimenez onside. In terms of the goal, maybe Alisson could have done better with the block, but he didn't make the mistake. And we'll give the attacker the benefit of the doubt as you would favour a player in that position to score the goal. Van Dijk, however, did redeem himself slightly by scoring a fantastic header just before half time. But for some strange reason, Slot decides to take off Kirkes. My question is, why on earth did he do that? For me, Kirkes was decent in the first half, so bringing in Robertson didn't make any real logical sense to me. But in the second half, it was the same old Liverpool of this season. Slow build-up play, sideways passes, no real tempo or urgency in our play. And Bournemouth were hitting us on the counter because of our ultra-defensive setup. But it took a moment of brilliance to get the score level from a Liverpool point of view. Nicely worked free kick. As Salah back heels a pass to Szoboszlai and he smashes it low and hard into the bottom corner to make it 2-2. Now, in normal circumstances, that should give the team who've just equalized a huge boost to go on and grab the winner, right? Wrong. Not when it comes to Liverpool. Bournemouth were the team that ended up stealing the winner in the 95th minute, and I still can't get my head around the goal. I watched it a few times today, and my question is, what on earth happened? It was probably one of the scrappiest goals you'll ever see, but that's not me taking anything away from Bournemouth. I'm talking about Liverpool's defending. That was primary school defending. There was complaints from Van Dijk to the referee that there was a foul. I'm sorry, where was the foul? Nothing nothing happened in the box that was worth stopping the game for. And to top it off, our captain and first team coach spoke in their post-match interviews and said the wind was the blame for our defeat or something along those lines. Now, weren't Bournemouth playing in the same weather conditions? Are we not a UK-based team? Are we not used to playing in this type of weather? It's not like we're based in the Middle East and we've never come across these conditions ever. So for me, that's perfect excuses from the pair of them. And Van Dijk had a shocker yesterday. One of his worst performances in a Liverpool shirt. And Arne Slot. How does this guy get away with it? How has he survived in this role is beyond me. Now, I don't want to hear anyone telling me that they're slot in, because if you are, quite frankly, your standards are very low. So low that for me, it's just not acceptable for you to be a Liverpool fan. People say we were unbeaten in the last 12 games. We barely won during that run of form. That was probably the worst winning streak ever because it presented the illusion that we were performing well and that we were dominating teams and we were hard to beat. We were far from it. we became a charity case, gifting points to teams in the bottom half. Christmas was a month ago, so why are we still playing Santa right now? Quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of watching Liverpool play. Me not doing the watching, I felt like a slight relief, if I'm being honest with you, because they're very difficult to watch. And I refuse to let this team stress me out. But, as football fans, you can't help it sometimes. We're in it together. But the big question or the big sort of statement now has to come from the owners, because they need to make a decision in the coming days. I've said it many times, and I will continue to say it until a change has been made. Arne Slot needs to go. He's simply not good enough to take this team forward. It's as simple as that. The argument has always been, well, if we sack Slot, who comes in? A couple of months ago, I would have said Gerrard, because for me, he would bring that good feel factor back to the club amongst the fans and everyone around the city. And I think he would have been the right appointment to have on an interim basis. Other than that, there wasn't really anyone else available. My choice of appointment has always been Xabi Alonso. And surprise, surprise, look who's been made available from their managerial duties. That's right, Xabi Alonso. So this is the time to get rid of Slot and replace him with Alonso. Now, to present a sensible outlook, maybe Alonso wants to take some time off and look for a new role later in the year, in the summer. And to be fair, he has a point. It's probably, he's been in a situation where he's been in a very toxic environment and deserves to have a little bit of a break. I think that's only natural to say. But at the same time, he'll also keep an eye on current affairs at Liverpool and understand that we're in the mud right now. And I've always said this. I don't think FSG will sack Slot as long as we're near the top four. Now, if you look at the Premier League table today, we've dropped to 6th place as United beat Arsenal 3-2 today. They're in 4th place, actually, 2 places above us. Aston Villa beat Newcastle 2-0. They're in 3rd place. Chelsea notched up a win as they beat Crystal Palace 3-1. There's only 6 points gap between 4th position and 11th. So that shows you that it's a very congested top half right now. And a couple bad results will literally put you down the pecking order. So a top 4 finish isn't a guarantee. A few bad results literally could put us distant away from achieving that goal. And especially if we stick with Arne Slot. So to avoid this from happening, Liverpool need to be reactive and make a change as soon as possible. The man I believe Michael Edwards wanted to replace Jurgen Klopp in the first place is now available. And because of Xabi Alonso's history of the club, I think he would be willing to cut his holidays short and help Liverpool in this difficult time. Because if we don't qualify for Champions League football next season, we could be taking a few steps back. And after all the hard work Klopp has done for us, it could all be burnt down. So FSG need to make that right decision and bring Xabi Alonso home. Now, to be fair, there has been some rumors circling today that we've made contact with Xabi Alonso's reps, and the rumor is that talks have been positive. Now, I'm not sure how credible these sources are, but I'm hoping and praying that they are true. And also, we have to take this news with a pinch of salt, even if it's true or not. These preliminary discussions could be for the future, i.e., him becoming manager or head coach from next season onwards, and not for right now. So, look, fingers crossed that it is for the present moment, and I'm sure we'll get some clarity in the near future. So that's my take on the game and everything surrounding it. So what I'll do, I will present the comments that you guys have presented in the live chat, and then we'll speak about one transfer rumor that has been a big talking point for the last few days, and we have a slight update in terms of where we stand with a particular player. Bo says, big up Ozzy, big up Bo, hope you're well. He says, something big is happening tomorrow, according to many sources. Been a meeting today that ended with Slot getting sacked, apparently. Will be official tomorrow. Thoughts, Ozzy? Well, you know how to share me out. That is music to my ears, if that is true. So I'll be waking up definitely on my phone, hoping to see that news breaking. So if that is the case, I'm all for it. Uh, sorry. Bo has said Gerard as an interim is very likely, according to Asim. That's Asim from BNR, so we got to Asim. I'll be honest with you, if that is the case where Gerard comes in as an interim manager and then we appoint a new manager, most likely being Xabi Alonso next season, I'm all for it. I think at this stage, we just need a change. Whether it's Alonso or Gerard, it has to be one of the two right now, in my opinion. Because even with Gerard, he might not be classified as a same level coach as Alonso, but he will still bring that good feel factor. And more importantly, from a squad standpoint, he'll get these players working hard again. Because right now they're soft. They're not even working hard as a collective. They're pulling out tackles. There's no real bite. No, there's nothing aggressive about this team at all. So Gerard being a passionate and being an aggressive player, and I'm sure that he, reflects those skills in his managerial stance, then it will give the boost that we need as a collective. So if that is the case, I wouldn't be mad at that. I would be quite pleased if Alonso's not available, because it might just simply be where Alonso wants that time off and he will look at a new position next season. If that is the case, then this is probably the best solution after not appointing Xabi Alonso. So I'm all for it. Well, I think get this Chrome don't fall off my screen. If that's in regards to Slot's picture. These players are not playing for him. If Klopp was here, they would have kicked the ball out faster than. Yeah. Wild comments there. This should be a long stream. I've only got an hour for you guys today, so yeah, it won't be as long. But yeah, we can chop her out still. Fuming Aussie, fuming, and Arsenal lost today. Do you know what? I had a feeling they were going to lose. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was that result against Man City last week when, of course, United beat them. I just had a feeling United were going to get a result, and that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, not looking good. Well predicted a 2-0 away win. Look, I tried to put that positive energy in the universe. It didn't work, but hey, look, there might be some sort of effect out of it. We might get a new coach in the next day or so. So you can thank me later in that regards. Uh, bro, stop trusting Slot. No, I don't trust Slot. If you guys think I'm trusting Slot, you're not hearing me properly. That's all I'll say. Are you happy with this, Ozzy? In regards to Alonso or Gerard, I'll be happy with Gerard if Alonso is not available. Um, but in terms of the future, well, as long as Slot's not in it, then I will be happy. But at this stage, we don't know. Is 6 acceptable for you? Of course not. I have high standards, as I mentioned earlier in the show. For me, that is simply not acceptable. Daz, big up Daz. He says, Ozzy, do we know how long Joe Gomez will be out? Also, be up yourself, Daz. I hope you're well. No, we not as it stands. I believe he's going to have a scan today or tomorrow. Or I think he's going to have a scan tomorrow. That was what was presented today. So we'll get some sort of idea in terms of the extent of that injury. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. But I don't really have faith in the hierarchy to address it by signing another defender. But we'll see. We've still got a few days left in the window, but I very much doubt it. Bo says, but finally we are done with this manager. Gone tomorrow. I hope so. I hope you're right. How did you put the 2-0 win, Ozzy? Man, I had trust in Slot. I had trust in his team. I thought after that result against Marseille, I thought maybe, there's a confidence there. But then the manager completely switched up the formation. If you guys will recall, that's exactly what he did when we beat Frankfurt 5-1. And he completely changed the shape the following fixture. So this is the problem with him. He's not very consistent in terms of his team setup, his tactics. And that might be why the players are so frustrated under this coach because of his uh, philosophy or his, his way of managing games and managing players and presenting tactics because they're not all aligned together. So there's a reason why I feel like there's a little bit of unrest within the camp, and understandably, if I'm being honest. It was the win, Ozzy. Apparently, yeah, that was the blame. Like Bournemouth didn't have the same issue there. Man, that sounded like an El Etifak defensive. You know what? He was awful yesterday. He really was. Finally, the unbeaten run is over. It's probably the worst unbeaten run ever. Evan Silva tried to save Slot again. He missed the penalty the other day. He was trying to get him sacked. He had that Gerard Hodgson moment, but no, once it couldn't happen for him. It wasn't so. Once he can't fall asleep anymore in the 66th minute. Listen, these watch-alongs, man, they, they take a lot out of you. I'm telling you for now. So hopefully, with a new coach, things will change. I only had to watch the game back last night as he fell asleep during the game. I wasn't able to watch it live, but yes, I had to watch it back, and kind of wish I didn't. But it's the role I have to play as a content creator. But yeah, I wish I didn't. To be fair, as you wake up, we have sack slot. It will be official tomorrow. We are free. I hope so. I hope you're right, Bo. And then yeah, we'll have to do a show. If I can do an impromptu show, I will. But we'll definitely do a show tonight. Tomorrow night, I should say. Well, it's almost midnight, so yeah, definitely do a show Monday night. Ozzie, Rio, and Trey and Ramsey played in the under 21 game. So did they? Oh, that's good. Well, at least Rio, Trey, and Ramsey are getting some sort of minutes because this coach isn't giving them any minutes whatsoever. Um, so it needs to be done. I said on my days, Ozzy, check Fabrizio. Ozzy, I hope you're not trolling me, but let me see what I can do. Mm. Mm. Hopefully, it's no dodgy accounts or anything. But let me have a look. Okay, what do we have? What do we have? Mm-mm. I can't see anything. I see something about Simikas, which I can present to you very shortly after talking about Robertson, but I don't see any other news. So let me know if I've missed it, but I can't see anything else. Hughes and Edwards out now. Nothing new. Nah, he got me excited there. He got everyone excited in the chat. Uh, PC White says has not been sacked. Not yet, PC White, but apparently it's gonna happen in the morning. So the chant of you'll get sacked in the morning might be a reality. So Bo is saying tomorrow. Is it true? It's not confirmed by official sources, but Bo mentioned that there's been quite a few talk online. Apparently, that's going to be the case. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Bo is saying 10 p.m. tomorrow. Apparently, so I normally do my shows at 11 p.m. So if that's the case, we will definitely have a discussion, and for some, probably me included, we'll probably be having a little party as well, respectively. I don't want to seem like a bit of an idiot by doing that. Ball says Slot is gone after meeting today, official tomorrow. Jordan as an interim and Alonso in the summer. Bonker says any sources to them rumors. I haven't seen anything. So if anyone has a name or two, I will try and present it in the chat. But no, I haven't seen anything myself. James Waffler, Indy Kylan. So let's check what Indy has to say. Okay, let's have a look. Of course, with these sort of sources online, always got to take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, let me present on the screen for you guys, and then we can talk about it together. So this is the tweet, and is Arne Slot's future to be completely exposed Monday, 10 a.m. morning sharp. Our exclusive high level source just WhatsApp. Get ready, it's a massive bomber. Okay, 10 o'clock it is then, and not even in the PM, in the AM. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Boss, it seems like you don't believe it, Ozzy. Thought you would be happy. I'm happy, but it's not a Indie Kyler's not a genuine source for me. So until I don't see it, I'm not going to get too overly excited. That's just my persona. I don't get too excited from Twitter sources. Of course, when it's transfer, you get a little bit giddy because it's like, potential of seeing players coming through. But I've seen this far too many times, and when it doesn't happen, it's a little bit disappointing. So let's see how it goes tomorrow. If he's gone, then I'm all for it. To be fair, Bo says check Indicala on Leicester coach. Uh, don't see anything here. Oh, this fella here. Okay. Emergency get sacked. Yeah, but that's different source, different clubs, different sources, isn't it? So look, you're questioning my excitement. It's not official yet. So once it's official, then I will be very, very giddy. I promise you that. Luke, big up Lucas says good work, mate. Big up yourself, Luke. Thank you for your kind words. Said he would get sacked, gone today. I hope so. Let's see. Let's see. Um, so what we'll do now, we'll present the rumor that I wanted to talk about. And that is about Andy Robertson. So David Ornstein dropped a tweet about a couple of hours ago. So the tweet pretty much says that Andy Robertson from Liverpool to Spurs not proceeding at present. Tottenham agreed in principle for move to happen after UCL group stage, but requires Simicast recall by Liverpool. Apparently, it's not possible so far. Roma seeking replacement, but time running out. So, and the other tweet that I saw in regards to Simicast um, was that Roma have already agreed to let Simicast leave the club and return to Liverpool. It's true. We are in talks with Liverpool about it, quote unquote, from their director, Ricky Massara. So, even that is not a foregone conclusion because they need to find a replacement. Now, my thoughts on Robertson leaving and Simicast returning on loan. Personally, I'm not happy with that decision. The this is the question I presented the other day, but we got some clarity today. So the transfer fee between Liverpool to Tottenham is only £5 million, which is peanuts. Let's be honest. So I'm not personally over the moon by that because I would rather keep Robertson for the remainder of the season, allow him to have a great send off because it's fully deserved. He's been an outstanding player for us in the last 7, 8, 9 years. So I think it's only right to give him that send off rather than selling him in the last days of the transfer window in January and bringing a replacement that the club deemed as not good enough or surplus to requirements, and then you brought him back to the club. So for me, that doesn't make sense. I'll be honest with you, that 5 million, I don't think is going to do anything to us. We're not going to reinvest it into the squad this window anyway. So I would rather keep Robertson because I think his experience will be vital in the upcoming months, and then we can revisit the situation in the summer. If that means that he doesn't get a new contract, or he does, that outcome will happen in due course. But I think Liverpool making a mistake by sell him now because we're already struggling with numbers. Joe Gomez is potentially out for the foreseeable future. Simicast, of course, returning. We have another left back in the squad, but I would rather have Robertson over Simicast all day long, personally. So I'm not too pleased about this rumor, and considering it's only £5 million, I think it's a terrible decision from the club, and it could hamper us in our quest of finishing the top 4/top 5, depending on how many spots English teams are giving at the end of the season. So for me, not the right call. And there's been a huge reaction regarding Simicast returning. Now, even though I prefer Robertson over Simicast, having Simicast for the next few months isn't the worst case scenario because I'd rather have a left back in the squad than have just Kirkes, quite frankly. So, it might not be everyone's popular choice, but at least we've got a player that will come in who's played Premier League football, he's played for Liverpool over the years. No settling in period required. He just, hits the ground running as soon as he joins. So for me, that's more important than anything else. And then in the summer, you guessed it, we'll have to address the left back position again. People think that we don't have to spend money or we don't need to sign players. We do. I would say, depending on who stays who goes, we'll be signing between 5 to 7 players. That's my way of looking at the current squad right now and what we need to add and what we'll need to replace certain players in the squad as well. So, that's something that's going to happen, whether people like it or not. But yeah, let's see what happens. This move can, completely be, done for. But we'll soon find out in the coming days. Let me go through some of the comments here. Where was my last comment? That's saying Ozzie which will you be watching next, Rumble or game? Can I be honest with you guys? I am most likely watching the Royal Rumble, so I won't be doing a watch along of the Newcastle game unless we have a new manager. But I feel like I'll probably end up watching the Royal Rumble, and then I'll watch the game, and then I'll do a match reaction show the following day, kind of like this week's scenario. So yeah, most likely I'll be watching the Royal Rumble. Paul just had a comment on Robbo. Let me see if I can pull that up. If it's on his Twitter, then I can bring it. If it's on his article, then I can't bring that up. Let me have a look. Paul Joyce. Let's see if he's got anything. Okay, so Andy Robertson to stay at Liverpool as things stand. I'm happy with that personally. I don't know what you guys think in the chat. I would be pleased for that, to be fair. Check James Wafflin as well, who always gets the team correct on match day. James Wafflin. Let's see who this guy is. James. He says, I believe Liverpool have Steven Johnson standby to be manager of Liverpool Football Club. Oh, but that's in quotes what Arsenal said today. I'm happy about it. I'm not gonna lie. I would be pleased about that. And I can see it happen because I don't know if you guys will record this. A few weeks ago, he was on TNT Sports and was very supportive of Slot and saying, he can turn things around, that the Liverpool aren't in crisis. And then a couple of weeks later, he's like, yeah, this is a crisis. And then he had a few jabs at him saying that, oh, he needs to stop talking about the low block, which I totally agree with. So the support has shifted in front of the wall, if that makes sense. So if Gerrard is the guy that comes through, I would be pleased with that, to be honest with you. Bonker says, I'll watch both Dad's phone football TV for Rumble. I hear it. I could try and do that as well, to be fair. But I think I might have family over coming to watch the Rumble. So yeah, because it's in Saudi as well, so it suits us. It's on at a reasonable time. So yeah, let's see how it is. But I'll be honest with you guys, I'll probably miss it and watch the game and then do a watch along the following day. Boss Alonso coach, Gerrard assistant, Milner fitness coach, and clock sporting director. Would you be happy with this in the future, Ozzie? I think you just plan up a dream team there. I don't think that's going to happen. Alonso as coach, yes. Gerrard as assistant, I don't see it happening personally. Milner as a fitness coach, I know Milner's, very fit and healthy, but you've got to have credentials to be a fitness coach. He's got to take courses to be that person. So if he does, great. But if he was to come in as a coach, from a footballing standpoint, I wouldn't mind it, to be fair. And Klopp's sporting director, he's not a sporting director. So no, this is more of a fantasy, if I'm being honest with you. And the academy teams won this weekend. And you listen to me on the academy now, Ozzie. When I have disagreed with you in regards to the academy, you've told me certain players are generational talents, but we still haven't seen them in the first team. So that's the only discussion we've had on stream. Pilling is amazing. Sonny Lambie, 14-year-old. Eden scored as well, but still don't like our academy. When have I said I haven't liked the academy? I think you're just clutching right now. I've never said I don't like the academy. Rumble of Liverpool, what is a Rumble? Royal Rumble. It's a wrestling pay-per-view. Uh Steve Yoxie says greetings Tozzy and chat. Liverpool needs to sign Pedro Chirivella, can't pronounce his name. Key Jana, Hova, Jerome Sinclair, and Andre Wisdom, Ben Woodburn, and Motues Musialowski. All players that were regarded as the next big thing, but unfortunately didn't happen. That's at 7 p.m. Yeah, it's 7 p.m. So the match, what time's the match? Liverpool, let's have a look. Newcastle. It's at 8 p.m. So yeah, look. You'd rather I'll be honest with you guys, right? I'll probably end up watching the Royal Rumble. I feel like that's more entertaining than what Liverpool are producing nowadays. So yeah. If my priorities aren't straight, I guess they aren't for now. Um, but yeah, that is all the comments, and that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, shout out to Bo for your comments. Appreciate your engagement as always. Shout out to Ozan. Shout out to Daz. Who else do we have? Shout out to PC White. Shout out to Bonkers. Shout out to Luke. And I think we had. And shout out to Dulu Steve. Appreciate your engagement as always, guys. If you haven't, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. In terms of upcoming shows, we should do a show tomorrow. If we get the breaking news that we've been talking about, then there will most definitely be a show coming up. But if not, um, if there's any sort of rumors circulating or anything to discuss, we'll do live stream tomorrow. And we've also got the Carabao match as well coming up, so we'll do match preview for that. We'll do the watch along for that one as well, and then we'll do the match preview of Liverpool versus Newcastle on Thursday or Friday, depending on my schedule. So yeah, lots of shows coming up. Got a few more comments there, and then we'll close the show. Steve says, to be fair, John Sinclair was a baller. Yeah, he's decently talented. I just don't think he was Liverpool quality, to be fair, and just had mental breakdowns. Yeah, it's quite common. This is why I always say about youth players, and Bo seems to think I don't rate the youth team. It's not that. You have to manage these youth players very, very, sensitively because, this is their dream to be professional players, especially for a Liverpool Football Club. And if it doesn't pan out that way, as a club, it's our responsibility to make sure they're in good care, and from there onwards, they are taken care of, for their own, mental health and well-being. So as a club, we have responsibilities, and unfortunately, Jerome Sinclair, I think, was one. I know Jordan I was another one that really struggled with depression. So yeah, that's why I feel like with young players, especially when they're making noise and they're getting a lot of attraction, you have to manage them carefully. It's all good thinking, oh, they're good enough to play for the first team, throw them in. They have to be mentally ready to take what comes on board, i.e., thousands and millions of people, watching them, and the pressure of playing for a club like Liverpool. It's not for everyone. So that's why I always feel like you have to manage these players very carefully, uh, and make sure we don't rush them in the process of being first team players. I think we've, as modern fans, we get a bit spoiled because you look at other clubs and they've got 17, 18-year-olds coming through and thinking, oh, that should happen at every club. These are situations where generational talents will occur, but not every club has those type of talents. So I think it's important to give these players the right education and allow them to develop at their speed. And then once they're ready, I'm sure they'll be given an opportunity to stake a claim, um, or challenge for a place in the first team. Yes. Imagine still unable to beat Aussie's Wi-Fi password. Yeah, imagine that. Charabag FC, Aussie FC. Um, WWE start early on Friday as well. Oh yes, because it's in Saudi, isn't it? That's a good one to know. That's useful information there. Bob, I'm just saying it's better to have a youth player on the bench than two goalkeepers. I agree with that. I never understand why we have two goalkeepers, but it might be to do with registration because you can't just bring in a player unregistered. I don't know, but I do agree with you on that one. I always find it bizarre when you have two goalkeepers on the bench. That doesn't really make sense to me either. That's why Gerard as a coach will be fantastic. Will he be watching the academy more than Slot? Well, remember he was a coach for the academy, wasn't he, when he left Liverpool? So no, he'll definitely be more involved in terms of the youth players around, and more importantly, because obviously, if he does become interim manager, that's not going to be his focus. His focus is going to be the first team. So I think with the young players we have in Rio and Trenioni, I think personally, I think Gerard, if he feels like they're ready, he'll give them more of a chance, or just give them more minutes altogether, which is very, very important. To be fair, I'm saying a youth player needs a chance sometimes, not all of them, and not every time, but some of them. I agree, but I think the players that deserve a chance are in and around the squad. So your Ingamoas, your Trainionis, I think those are the two that are ready for the first team. The other players are not. So that's just my opinion on that. Under 21 players don't need to be registered. That's true, but I think there are still rules that they have to be of a certain age. But if the club do not see a youth player ready to even be on the bench, you have to respect that. We can't just throw players in for the sake of it. But in terms of your stance about the goalkeepers, I do agree. I've always found that really bizarre. Um, but that's just what the team selection has been in recent weeks, I guess. I want Gerald permanently, I don't want Gerald permanently because I know we've got a chance of Alonso becoming the next Liverpool head coach. So with him in the picture, I think that would be the better appointment. But that's just my take. Drew said I want Tyler Morton back. He's doing fantastic at Lyon. So it's a shame because I don't feel like he was really given a fair opportunity, and he was only played. I feel like he played like two or three games, and they were mainly cup competition, FA Cup more so that I remember. So yeah, it's a shame because he was very talented. Then he had a fantastic um, under 21s as well. So yeah, it's a shame. But I'm glad that he's gone to a club where he's actually playing first team football and he's given a chance now. So it's helped him well in that regards. To be fair, both same facts. I think that's in regards to the youth players. If even if he wins Champions League and Premier League this season, well, look, he's not going to win the Premier League. If he wins the Champions League, it's definitely a big discussion. I would personally say no, and that sounds a tad bit disrespectful, but I just feel like the club will need to stick to their guns and appoint someone that is the long term future. But look, if he comes in and completely transform it, that is definitely a discussion we'll have to have at the end of the season. But I don't want us to make a mistake like United did with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where they gave him an interim contract and the infamous Rio Ferdinand video where he's like slapping the table saying, give him a contract and whatever number he wants, let him sign it. I don't really want to be in that kind of situation. So let's see. I think we'll have to see how the season pans out and what we achieve in the end. But I feel like Alonso is more than of a adequate coach for me, and for me, he's top of the shortlist. If I was to pick a dream candidate, it would be Luis Enrique because of his experience. But I don't want to put this energy out there, but I have a feeling that he might join Man City. I see him being their next appointment, especially if there's a lot of rumors suggesting that Guardiola may be leaving at the end. So I feel like that's the kind of manager that they would recruit. So I don't, in my head, I don't really see him as a realistic target. So then you have to look elsewhere. Who's the one? And I feel like Xabi Alonso ticks all of the boxes. Being a former player, understanding the club, the people of Liverpool, the city, the fans, being a former player. He knows what it takes to be a success at Liverpool. So for me, and of course, from a managerial standpoint, he had a fantastic season for Leverkusen. At Real Madrid, I don't feel like everyone, is successful there. You have to be a certain profile, and unfortunately, you kind of have to be a puppet or a yes man in that club because things are run a certain way, and player ego is at a different level in comparison to any other clubs in Europe and possibly even in the world. So that's a very difficult place for someone to be successful. If he was to come to Liverpool, it's a different platform. It's a different environment for him. He'll be given the utmost respect. He'll be given plenty of time, and I think he will be given the chance to implement his philosophy into the squad. So that's a lot of boxes for him that will be ticked, and I think he'll understand that as well. We're not Real Madrid in terms of our culture. We're a family club. We're not cutthroat in that way, or we're not a club that feels entitled just because you've been successful over the years. So I feel like it's a different culture. He'll know that. He knows what it's about. To be fair, but I feel like he's the right man for us to take the club forward. Imagine Gerard or Ozzie lifting the Prem title. That would be amazing. That would be, yes. That's something you would want for him as well because unfortunately he didn't achieve it as a player. I would love for that to happen, but this season, yeah, we don't really have too many games. I've got 14 or so games. Yeah, I'll be pleased if we're finishing the top four. I'm not gonna lie to you, to be honest with you. Gerard Alonso is Zaghi for me, Alonso is a top one, and then I don't know about Luis Enrique, but I guess I put him in the mix as well. Um, I still like Nagelsmann. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I do like his philosophy. Inzaghi is a good coach, but not for me, if I'm being honest with you. Boris said, where will Stock go after tomorrow, Ozzy? Um, as in, if he was to be sacked, I can see him join Tottenham. To be fair, because they're not completely sold on Thomas Frank. So, and if my memory recalls correctly, Tottenham tried to appoint Arne Slot a year before we did, so they've always had an interest in Slot. But I think Arne Slot rejected them at the time. So that is certainly a coach that they hold with high regards. And also, John Heitinger is also there, and they formed a fantastic partnership last season as well with Liverpool. So I think that would be his next club if I was to make a prediction for him. Steve says Ajax. Ajax is a good shout as well. To be fair, I'm not sure how the club manager is doing, but they of course at Heitinger, so they might want someone with a bit more high profile or higher credibility. So yeah, Ajax is a shout as well. Feeling Spurs, yeah, Spurs. Sir, if he was to remain in the Premier League, I think Spurs will be the most likely destination. If I'm being honest, I really dislike Nagelsmann and Enrique. Why do you dislike them? Is it personality wise or the look of them? What is it? Because I think Nagelsmann has a great football philosophy. Enrique is a winner wherever he's gone. Of course, it didn't start that way. Of course, when he was at Roma, he wasn't successful there. But at Barca, for the national team and for PSG, he's been very successful. So I would go with experience because I feel like we need that type of coach at the club. But at the same time, I really like Alonso in terms of his coaching philosophy. So I feel like he'll be the one that would, you know, do really well with our current crop of players. And of course, he's already worked with Florian Wirtz and Jeremy Frimpong, so that's a bonus there as well. Yeah, personality, Nagelsmann way too arrogant. No warmth in Nagelsmann. I think that's an opinion. To be fair, I don't think there's any facts to that. That's your observation. You know, you don't like the look of them or their personality. But their records will tell you that they have been successful where they've been. Of course, Nagelsmann didn't do very well at Bayern, but you know, he's a candidate. I wouldn't say top of my list. For me, I've got one name, and that should be Alonso, and I feel like Liverpool needs to do everything they can to get him because he's a free agent. He's available, so why make a short list? The guy is available, so we should go all out and get him through the door as soon as possible. Now, if he doesn't want to come on board at this very minute and he wants to have a bit of a break and recharge his batteries and come into a new role next season, that's all good. But we need, as a club, we need something right now. We need a change right now. And for me, if it's not Alonso because he's not available, then it should be Steven Gerrard. That's the way it should go. To be fair. But that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak to you tomorrow. Hopefully, we get some good news. And I don't mean to be rude to answer in regards to that, but from a footballing point of view, I think that would be the right decision to move on and appoint a new coach. So we'll have to wait and see if that news breaks tomorrow. But until then, take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you guys very, very soon. Goodbye.